Hey guys, what's up and welcome to another episode of the Goodcast Show. You know, my favorite days to record interviews are Fridays. It's the most relaxing days and you come and you just want to have a nice conversation, as you can see by my ill-advised choice of a shirt. I'm never wearing this shirt again. My mother forced me. Look like I'm going to a beach or something. Anyway, so guys, today is a very special day because I have a very special guest with me. He's one of the content creators who I followed consistently before I started the Goodcast Show. I love him for his content. He's very entertaining. And the best part is the way he says his name. So today, I have the honor of saying his name in front of him the way he says it. I'm going to try to do my best. So my guest, he was a radio DJ for Light FM, for BFM. He's a writer for FMT, although now he doesn't write so much, unfortunately. He writes on politics, and you must have seen his content online on TikTok. He has amassed a large following, and we all love him. Now you'll know him more for his skills in the kitchen. That's right, he's a chef. He runs his restaurant Fire by Shankar at Straits Quay in Penang, and I have not been there, and I can't wait to go bring my family there soon. So please welcome my guest, Shankar Santhiram. How are you, sir?
That's not the way I say it.
Not I say, okay, I'll try it again.
Yeah. I say it, hello everyone, Shankar Santhiram.
Yeah, that's because you have decades of experience in radio. I'm doing this for 2 years.
No, 5 decades of saying my own name, that's all.
Yeah. You seem, based on what you do now, you tend to be more focused on the Indian community.
No, not really.
No, but somehow it ends up
It
like
ends
that.
up that way because that's the polarized nature of our country.
It's not based by your, maybe an inner calling to serve the people?
Absolutely. I subscribe to the old-fashioned DAP slogan, Malaysia for Malaysians.
Okay.
That's what I do. I mean, DAP has forgotten it, but I still remember it, right? Do you know what I mean? In the last 2 years of being in, 3 years of being in power, not a single DAP MP or minister has ever used the phrase Malaysia for Malaysians.
Yeah, definitely.
Malaysia, right? And I always subscribe to that. Right, so I don't specifically think that I'm going to set something up for the Indian community. It ends up being like that,
okay.
Right? Simply because of where I'm located. So firstly, when I was in College Utara in Penang, I established it there. Of course, we had Chinese students, we had Chinese staff, but the polarizing nature of our country is that when an Indian CEO goes and talks, the greatest acceptance comes from the Indian community. So if I call, say, a Chinese school and say, I'm coming and I'd like to give a talk to your students about the college, okay, you write to us, see how it goes. But they would prefer to have a Chinese education organization to come and talk. And also the linguistic prowess of Chinese medium students. If I go and speak English, they struggle. So I will speak in Bahasa Malaysia. Whereas it was easy for me to write to a Tamil school or to an estate or to find a temple somewhere to go and talk. And I will talk in English and I will talk in Tamil and people will understand. And
do you think now with the way our country is going, do you think that especially currently PMX, because just yesterday was the announcement of the RMK, right? RMK 13. Do you think that he's trying to move away from that, from the polarized nature of the society?
I think we have to give credit where it is due, and I think over the last 20 years, since he got arrested in 1998, he's changed his tune from being an ultra-Malay Muslim to being a much more moderate. I think being in prison for 10 years will change your mind about lots of things, and I think this is one of the things that he's actually, and I find him quite sincere in what he says, but what he does never reflects what he says. That's essentially the problem. It's 3 years, we're waiting for reforms, not coming. All right, and we're getting impatient. And then, of course, you have all the PM sycophants who will say, hey, kena tunggu lah, apa ni, 3 tahun je, wait for a bit more. I'm sure people, the kind of, rational-minded people like you and me, we are willing to wait. But we want to see, it has to be a work in progress, right? So if you look at the RMK yesterday, and most of the people who have read it through, what are you talking about? There's no level playing field still. Indians and Chinese are still getting crumbs. The Bumiputera agenda is front center there also. It's not that you don't want that. But see, this is the forgive my pun, but the English word is Malays. This is the Malays, M-A-L-A-I-S-E, of our nation.
Yeah.
All right? We are ultimately segregated by our race.
But don't
and
you
religion.
think with all the policies that he mentioned, it kind of feels like the RMK 13 is more of a blanket approach as opposed to, of course, he has to mention the Putra 25 and all that, right? That one he has to. But don't you think the other policies were more blanket when he's talking about increasing minimum wage and all that?
I agree. I agree that it is probably one of the most progressive budgets that have RMKs that have ever been tabled. Right now, I think the proof is in the pudding. Let's see whether it happens or not. Because I think he makes a lot of plans and makes a lot of announcements. A lot of announcements that have been made over the last 3 years.
A lot of potentials.
But not a lot has happened.
When I was listening to RMK, I was worried about Indians again because we talk a lot about how after the country moved away from estates, right, the Indians were left behind. I feel that if we don't change our mentality, this victim mentality maybe, if we don't huddle together, if we don't find the solutions within ourselves, that we may be left behind again as the country makes another change. Sure. Do you agree?
Sure. As a community, we will be left behind. And, this is... Look, there are a very large number of Indians who are successful.
Yeah, very large. Yeah.
And we disproportionately take success in certain industries, in certain vocations. A lot of Indian doctors, a lot of a disproportionate number of Indian lawyers for the number of Indians that we have in the country. All right? Disproportionate, that's what I mean. I think the size. I don't have the exact statistics. I'm sure somebody will dispute me, but it just feels like everywhere you turn there's an Indian lawyer. Yeah. We take on good numbers in certain technical fields like engineering. So by and large, we have a lot of Indians in decent paying jobs. And that is why the majority Malay community and sometimes even the Chinese community will say, hey, you guys are complaining about what? You guys are okay what? Everywhere I turn, you got doctors, you got lawyers, you got this. But as a community, the Malaysian Indian community is undoubtedly the community that is most displaced. Right? Apart from the Orang Asli community in our country who are even worse off than we are, this is the community that's most displaced. And
in what sense do you mean when you say displaced?
Because of opportunities that are not there for them. So, for example, let's talk about racism, tacit racism in this country. So, a lot of people, this is not a very palatable subject to have a discussion about, which is that we think that we are not racist in any way. We are.
Indians.
And
it's
no. And Indians are. No, I'm just saying Malaysia as a whole is racist.
Yeah.
We are we're not only a multi-racial country, we are also a multi-racist country. All right? We really are.
Yeah.
Right? So, for example, I spend more of my time, about 80% of my time in Penang, because that's where my main business is, my restaurant. And if you talk to Indians in Penang, they are not being racially segregated or racially kind of oppressed by the Malay community or the government. They will tell you that we are racially oppressed by the Chinese community in Penang. Very clearly. So if you talk to people who work in the Bayan Lepas, Bayan Baru, Batu Kawan area in terms of the factory, that large generator of revenue for our country, which comes in these three locations where there's Silicon Valley, Malaysia's Silicon Valley, if you talk to Indian engineers, Indian technicians, Indian casual workers, Malaysian Indian casual workers, they'll tell you that we don't get opportunities. We always get bypassed. Always my Chinese colleague will always get preference. Over me. So in order for me to get promoted, I have to be exceptionally exceptional. Then I will get promoted. So this thing about racism and this thing about the Indian community being left behind, we're always going to be left behind.
Yeah, definitely.
We're always going to be left behind because the narrative that all of us sit and talk about is then, why is the Indian community, why aren't Indians coming together and making noise? Why are they not unified? Why are they not together? I don't understand this. I don't understand how we can have that conversation when systemically we have a problem with our country. Because we are segregated by race.
I agree with that, but I'm just thinking...
So how can we change, Vinod? How do we change? How can we change? How can we accept a community that has 6 point something percent of the population, of which a fairly, small, maybe 20% of the community is completely satisfied and happy with whatever they're doing? Because enough money. And then you have another 20% down the bottom who's like, no matter if their God comes and talks to them also, they won't change. That's a training analogy that I use. 20% on the top, they're doing really well. 20% on the bottom, your God comes and talks to you and tells you to change. Also, you won't change.
You won't change, yeah.
That's the way. So you have the 60% here, and they feel unheard, voiceless. So they just put their head down and do their work. So we need a complete reset in this country. We need a reset in that there must be and not a single government, whether it is PAKATAN Harapan or PERIKATAN NASIONal or a third force that comes together right now. We hope there is a third force that actually makes an actual change. Neither one of these coalitions will actually talk about the fact that we need to level the playing field in our country, where meritocracy becomes the prime agenda. We still keep talking in terms of race and religion.
But isn't that too idealistic? Because you would be, if any coalition does that, it will be akin to committing political suicide.
Absolutely. That's to answer your question back again. You asked me whether the RMK that the Prime Minister has given, is that going the right direction? It is a direction that he is taking. Right? And the direction he's taking is, even if I really want to make reforms, I really cannot make reforms. So I told you all before the 2022 election, and I did a lot of charamas all over the place, I will do this and I will do that. And haven't we realized that we should stop listening to politicians? As a nation, haven't we realized that? After 2018, 60 years of PERIKATAN Nasional, we couldn't change PERIKATAN Nasional because of that indoctrination that we had. The majority of the people, whether Malay, Chinese, Indians, everybody, we all voted for them for 6 years, again and again and again.
Yeah.
Finally, we broke the mold. And then in 2018, May, whatever the date was, when PH won, it was like some kind of, euphoric atmosphere. I remember I was just watching, living in KL, Tamantun, watching the television and seeing this, and then feeling this great burden lift inside me,
Oh yeah, I still remember that day.
Finally, our country, we're going to go in a particular direction. The honeymoon lasted for 2 years. We went back to even worse of a situation, and of course, COVID came along the way and messed everything up. And then I worked tremendously hard for my local MP in Penang. Right, I went out. I was an election scrutineer. I was there working, doing this stuff, making videos for my MP. Right, multiple videos, sorting it out and getting him to be elected as. And now I stopped writing politically because I think not going to change.
So
it won't change.
But do you think that the change must come from the middle class then?
The change must come from political will. Right? And political will is not there. What we need is we need leadership, visionary, strategic, plus operational leadership. What we have is operational leadership all the time. Operational leadership is in order for me to sustain my numbers and be in the good books across the board, I have to pander to certain special interests and special needs. Right? So that's operational. So that keeps me operational. So the objective is not how Malaysia is going to be in 15 or 20 years. The objective is, am I going to win the next election and stay in power? And for that, I need to go to bed with a whole bunch of people that I said bad things about in the past. And then, of course, I got to turn around and say and make a kind of, Churchillian statement that, there are no permanent enemies in politics. But Karpal Singh is the one who said there may be no permanent enemies in politics, but there are permanent principles. That also we've lost. Right, with the mishmash of coalitions that we've had. Right. So we sit in ivory towers and have discussions about what is the right way to do. Will the Indian community be let down? Well, essentially we have an operating system platform problem. So no matter what kind of program you put, like your laptop has to work on an operating system, MS-DOS, whatever the system is. I'm not an IT guy, but there is an operating system platform. Yeah. On top of that, only you can create programs. So you need to have an Android system or an iOS in order for you to put things on. We keep putting things on, creating Mitra, creating MID, creating Rancangan Malaysia, whatever, RMK number 1, having this blueprint. How many blueprints have we written about blueprints? Yeah. We now write blueprints about blueprints. Yeah. All right? And let's do this. And, and every 5 years, you will find everybody going out and saying, Selamat Tang, Tachao, Nandri, what I mean? Please, do motherhood platitudes like this, you have to stop already.
So is the answer to not partake in the political system?
I think so. I really think so. I think a lot of people don't realize that the biggest protest is not showing up.
Exactly. But then if you don't show up, you have no control over what happens.
We said, you think we have control over it now? You showed up many times?
No, but at
Did
least
you have
we
control
can
after
decide.
at least after 2018? Did you get the government that you wanted?
After 2018.
You did.
I mean, I did.
Yeah, and then
for a while,
after 2022 in February, did you get after 2020 in February? Did you get they amongst themselves
decided. That was the
didn't
funniest.
come back to us and say, "Hey, look,
We want to ask your opinion.
yeah,
No.
we'd like to know if we do this, are you all okay with it?"
No.
Nothing. Overnight, suddenly something else happened, and we all got up in February, whatever,
Yeah.
and thought, "Wait, apa benda ni?"
Yeah.
2018, we kerja tungkus lumus, we did all
Yeah,
sorts of
yeah,
things
yeah,
to get you guys in, and now it's like this. We didn't pay for this.
Yeah.
Right? And then we had to endure that. Three prime ministers in two prime ministers in whatever, three prime ministers
three.
in 3 years. Yeah, 2 years, 3 years. And then we went all out again, and then we realized, on 2022 in November, we realized that Pakatan Harapan just doesn't have the number. Just couldn't do it.
But if we abstain from voting, while I do agree with you, that is the greatest protest, but wouldn't that open the door for
course.
Perikatan Nasional to come in?
What's
and
wrong with
maybe
Perikatan Nasional? What's the difference? You tell me.
I don't know what they are about. That's the difference.
And you think you know everything about Pakatan Harapan? On the
Unknown
when
devil
you,
is better than
hold on.
unknown devil.
This is an unknown devil. The night before the election, I was in the final Charama, DAP Charama in Penang, in Karpal Singh Drive, where all the Aduns and the MPs came and spoke. The final speaker said there was some rumors that DAP will work with UMNO. Right? And he got up there and in front of a crowd of 30,000 people there, in the top of his lungs, screamed out, "Over my dead body, this is going to happen." One day later, I went back to him and I said, "Macam, how?" Why did you say that? He said, my reputation is now really like out of control. Terror. I have to hide away for a while.
Yeah.
Right? And that is the reality. So when you ask me, though, this will open the door to Perikatan Nasional. Well, what's the difference? You tell me the difference. I can't see the difference between the two. The reason why I cannot see the difference, like you make a very valid point, right? You say, I don't know what Perikatan Nasional are about.
I don't know what they are.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, I don't know what Pakatan Harapan is about as well.
At least they have a manifesto.
What manifesto? Did they follow a single thing from the
No, but
manifesto?
at least they have the decency to at least play the part.
Yeah, you mean they have the decency to print a manifesto?
Yes. At least.
Okay. Let's call up Perikatan Nasional. Say, we have the decent way. Buatlah satu manifesto.
Just write
Apa
something.
benda you letak dalam?
Yeah.
Tak kisah, you tulis je. You know what I mean? They have a manifesto as well. It's just that we have not gone into their manifesto and we get all wound up about the green wave. And we just go, it's the Islamization of the nation, and that's the deal.
No, maybe that may be a fear for some people, but to me, I think it's an unfounded fear because for example, my number one political idol is Malcolm X, who is a Muslim.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So I have no issue with a Muslim being a leader. But when
we've only had Muslims as our leader.
only Muslims, yeah, so we have no choice. Don't forget, Tun Mahathir, one day, don't forget.
Just for a day.
Just for a day. I'll let you Indian one day, yeah. But one thing I take issue is when the past leaders come up and say, vote for us, then we will tell you who's going to be our PM candidate. That's disrespectful to democracy.
I think so. I think that's a PR strategy that they need to change along the way, and I think they need good advisors. Give me a call. I'll come and talk to you all about it.
We'll share his
if you need any help. I just joking. I'm going to get a call from all my PH friends right now. Like, you made an offer to
PN, what's wrong with you?
What is wrong with you?
You are just like the politicians who you condemn.
No, I think it's just a PR exercise for them. Because at the end of the day, much of what PMX does together with the cabinet is a PR exercise.
It's not real, you're saying. It's not substantiated.
No, it's not substantiated. I mean, I think there must be some political maturity in all of us to understand what can be done, what cannot be done. We live in a very polarized society, and of course the Prime Minister cannot do a lot of things that he wants to do. Right? We are still struggling with the vestiges of power and the vestiges of authority, the vestiges of the benevolent dictatorship that we lived in.
Who are you talking about?
20, 30 years ago? No. PM4, you know what I mean?
N5, N7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in 1981 to 2003.
Yeah.
And I was a card-carrying, flag-waving supporter of Dr. Mahathir. Absolutely.
Me too.
It was incredible to have a leader like him because fearless. So, you are an American. We'll tell you what to do. You are Singaporean. Let's pick a fight with you.
Yes.
Right? And then as a student in the UK, I was like, I would go to Marble Arch to Malaysia House maybe once a month, take the train, go up to read the newspapers because there was no internet at the time. So I had to go and read the Malaysian newspapers. So I'd get the Star News Straits Times, read, have my teh tarik and a roti canai. That's all I could afford. Find the cheapest train at 6 o'clock in the morning and get out, and go and do this. And the only reason why I went was proud of my Prime Minister. Every single time he came to the UK, and he'd always have dialogue with the students, I won't have any money, but somehow I'll find some fella to drive me up there or, con a group of other Malaysians to say we have to go.
Yeah.
Right? Just so that I could be in that, not because I wanted to become a politician. I was proud, only when, as I got older, as I got into business, as I understood the various difficulties that beset Malaysia and realizing the architect of a lot of it was Dr. Mahathir. Not that, I'm one of these people who firmly believe that you cannot just squarely dump everything on Dr. Mahathir's lap. Okay? As a nation, all of us, including all the civil servants, I belong to a few groups right now. Right? The groups of, I don't want to name those names, but I belong to groups where we have a lot of civil servants, senior civil servants, directors of various departments and divisions. They're all in there. Every single day they will be writing about how the country is going to the dogs. This is happening. That's happening. And every time I read it, I go like, yes, that's happening because of you fellas. When you were in positions of power, you decided to kowtow because you were only concerned about your rice bowl. So you just backed off. And now you're telling younger people like me and even younger than me, take to the streets, fight. You guys didn't do it. Why did you not do it? And now you think we have to do it. Why should we do it? As a business owner, I tell you, I'm not interested in fighting anybody anymore. Put my head down, do my stuff, make my money, be happy.
But is this attitude the right one? For instance,
why would you ask me whether it's the right one or not?
No, let me just say this.
Because it's a loaded question. You're virtue signaling now.
No, I'm not. No,
Right?
let's go. Let's look at the timeline here. After the Sheraton move, what happened was a complete and utter annihilation of the spirit.
All of us had.
All of us had. It deflated.
Well,
right?
no, having said that, let's be also fair. What are the statistics? I don't have the stats right now. In 2018, popular vote, how many percent did Pakatan win? They did not win more than 56, 57%. So we always, hey, what about the other 43% of the people who voted for the other side? Why are we always excluding them?
No, fair enough.
So after 2018, when Dr. Mahathir came back in power, 56% of the please correct me if I'm wrong. We can do the stats, but I think it's around that region, 55 to 6% voted for PH. 44% or so didn't vote for PH. So when the 2020 Lanka Sheraton happened, this 40% would have been
happy.
Would have been like.
No, but fair enough. But I think what happened after the Sheraton move was the exact polarization that you spoke about, right? That was one of the consequences that happened, and along that, a deflation of the spirit of the 56%. All right. Yeah. Who I think, and this is just my personal opinion, it's not backed up by any stats, but I think that this 56%, 57% of people are the ones who are politically conscious, who really love the country, and
that's not fair to say. The 44% also really love the country.
I think they're motivated by other sentiments.
No, I think this is where the polarization begins. Okay. In our country. It's this us and them mentality. The day our country changes is the day we all decide that we're Malaysian and we're going to do what's right for the country.
But I'm differentiating not by race or anything. I'm differentiating based on mindset.
You're tacitly differentiating by race.
No. By mindset. By some of us vote based on political policies and the direction.
Well, in Tapa, MIC still won a seat.
Well,
with Dato' Saravanan. And the Indians there, and the Malays there, and the Chinese there voted for him. How did he do that?
I can't answer that question on air.
Strange.
I can answer to it afterwards, not on air. I'll get into trouble. But here's my thing. Even after you open Pandora's box, there's still hope at the end, right?
Yeah.
the picture you're painting now is pretty apocalyptical, if you will. Is basically is the end. We are polarized, and nothing. The country, nothing will change. You vote for PN, is the same. Is that a right attitude to have for the future of this country?
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, to be. I mean, I've been tongue in cheek answering a lot of your questions, but the political. I'm still very interested in the political process. I will still go. Honestly, I will still go out to vote. Right. But I might vote differently now.
But then why stop writing then?
Because I'm preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to the choir simply because who reads those articles?
I did.
Yeah, and I don't have to convert you. The people I really need to reach, that article doesn't go. Look at the good cast. Who's watching this?
Nobody. 5 people.
Don't say that.
I mean, the way you are framing the question, I mean.
No, the way I'm framing the question is the good cast is what I love the good cast. I watch a lot of your stuff because it resonates with me. But only people it resonates with watch it. What we need mass appeal. We need to go out to the people who actually don't like us. You don't have to convince the people who agree with us. So our politics should be outreach programs. The Madani government should be spending a tremendous amount of time going out to the hinterland, to the heartland of Malaysia, talking to them, changing hearts and minds of people. They're not doing that. Your
I think the RMK13, he's doing that.
He's trying to give freebies all the time. Giving freebies is not the answer.
DESA programs and all.
You got to get in there and actually have your members of parliament going out to the ground level and doing it. I think what DAP members of parliament do very well in Penang is that they have a tremendous amount of engagement on the ground. Right, so I've got 2 members of parliament. My constituency is Bukit Glugo, so Ram Karpal is my member of parliament. And the guy is tireless. He will be in the Ayatthaya market. He will go walkabouts all the time. He'll be in the ground. So the Penang Chinese community in Payatrabong and that area, which is the heartland of the Bukit Glugo Sea, love him. All right? They love him because they see him all the time. Constantly he'll be there. And the guy is exhausted to the hilt because he's a practicing lawyer. He'll still come and do it. Right? And he shuttles between Kuala Lumpur and Penang and he does it. And this is a tremendous amount of vision to be with the on the ground. Where my restaurant is located in Tanjung Tokong, our member of parliament is YB Shalina Abdul Rashid. Fantastic. Shalina is also hands-on, on the ground. Every event turns up, walks around and does it. How many of our MPs in rural Malaysia turn up? The Madani MPs. They're not. They're all sitting here and cushy jobs, Timbalan Menteri, head of some JLC somewhere, doing this, doing that, and not showing up. And we get a lot of that feedback. So the guys in Penang do a really good job. Right? And that's the reason why they keep voting them in again and again. So what I suggest, just to do, roundabout way, I mean, I know you're getting irritated with me because I'm
listening.
I'm drawing a bleak picture, but I'm not drawing a bleak picture.
Man, come on.
No, the hope is that we stop voting for political parties and start voting for individuals. That's the way we should work.
So that's a good point, because then let's talk about the individuals that represent the Indian community.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
One thing that frustrated me that happened yesterday was while the RMK13 is being tabled, on the other side, 2 Indian parties on PERIKATAN NASIONAL are fighting. Yeah. One is calling the other weaker and all that kind of stuff.
MIPP and Urmai.
And then on MIC side, Dato' Saravanan is now upset that he's not minister, while at the same time RMK13 is being fought for.
Yeah.
Have our Indian leaders failed us?
Somewhat, yes. And that started a long time ago, not this cohort of Indian leaders.
Are they worse than that cohort?
I don't think they're worse or better. I think they're of the same mold. I think my father used that phrase when he was with you. Politicians are a different breed altogether. And they are a different breed. Yeah. I'm very good friends with some of these Indian leaders. I have worked very closely with Professor Ramsamy in Penang, 15 years. I did a lot of projects, free projects. Free. I didn't get paid, right? Free projects for the state of Penang. And because I run a training and management consulting company, I went to him and I said, look, Prof, let me give something back to the state. This is my state. This is my home. and he was in charge of human resources. He was a human resource exco as well. I said, public services are sometimes a bit slack here. The land department, the various departments, the council. I start running training programs with them, and I did every year to the tune of about 140,000 ringgit worth of training I'd give the Penang state government. And I did it. I did it consistently for 4 or 5 years. I like the guy because he immediately went, hey, that's a good idea. I also like what he did in Penang. And I'm party to a lot of the good things that he did for the community. If you walked up to him and said, this temple needs a new wing or needs a new roof, he'll get it done right away.
But that's the problem, right?
He'll get it done. So then with education, he started off in 2008 by just giving out money. Right? And then he realized that we've got the Hindu Endowment Board, we've got to make it a profitable organization, and then we can use that money to fund various educational activities, and that's what he did. But Prof. Ramasamy, Dr. P. Ramasamy is a combative maverick. He'll do whatever he wants. 75, 76 years old, he's got nothing to lose. So he'll do whatever he wants.
No, but that's the problem here. In fact, when we look at RMK 13, when it comes to Indian issues, it always centers around temples and Tamil schools.
Sure.
Right? These are the two things that get us. And the leaders tend to go to this because it's the easiest to target the heartstring of the voter, right?
Absolutely.
If one step ahead of that is education, and they'll showcase, MID gave this much and all that. When I look at the RMK 13, for instance, when the Prime Minister announced that they're going to focus on semiconductors, right, projecting incomes of 1 trillion ringgit from exports, shouldn't our leaders say, okay, how are we going to get
plug
our
into that?
Yes, okay, have goals. Okay, we want the workforce, 20% of this workforce to be Indians. Do things like that, man.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's frustrating to see every time it's temple, and then Penang Hindu, golden chariot. Oh my God, man!
How long are we talking about the golden chariot and the silver chariot, right? So if you have that mindset, right, that's essentially the same as pretty much everything we do for everyone else in this country. Why do we have a Bumiputra agenda?
That's because lost ground is lost forever. They don't. That's their special privilege. They're not going to give it up.
What special privilege? I'm a lawyer by training. I've been made to understand that if you have a contract, it needs to be signed by somebody. Have you seen the social contract?
Oh, no.
Signed by who? Who represented our community when they signed the social contract?
I think Tun Mahathir,
Yeah. I have to call Kunjari, his daughter who's still around, talk to her and say, did your father sign this? Because this elusive social contract thing bandied around again and again and again. Right?
But that's not the issue.
That is the issue. But that is the fundamental issue of this nature, of our nation. Because when you have this social contract, it says there are certain special privileges that are afforded to one particular community, and then you automatically exclude a whole bunch of other people. So now the other people are left with the crumbs, and amongst themselves, you have that breed called politicians who fight amongst themselves to carve out little niches for themselves. So
but
what
you are comparing the NEP to, for example, if you compare the NEP with apartheid Africa, right? It's very different.
No, I'm not comparing it to the apartheid.
No, but if I were to now put it side by side, right, when you say that because you're favoring one race over the others.
Yes, it started off as affirmative action.
Affirmative action, yes.
That's how it started.
But the thing is, in Malaysia, the ecosystem, there is still room for you as a non-Malay to actually prosper in business.
Yes, all of us do.
All of us do, right?
Right,
so
we do.
I don't think focusing on that argument of the social contract is beneficial to us.
No, absolutely not. I agree with you also, but I tell you also at the same time, that is the fundamental issue that we have.
But the fundamental issue with us Indians, we are not united.
No, but we are not focusing on that, of the social contract. The social contract is thrust upon us at every opportunity.
Of course.
So we're not harping on it. Actually, we just go like, accept it. Let me accept it.
Yeah, well, what can we do to change it?
That's the whole point. What can we do to change it? And then the narrative that is spun all the time is that the Indians don't progress because they fight amongst each other.
Yes. We don't support one another.
Why?
Because we are divided on multiple lines.
Malays don't fight with each other.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Chinese also fight with each other.
We're talking about Indians.
If you take DAP and MCA, how much they fight?
They do, but they
try to basically take over each other's position only one.
No, okay.
So wait. So now DAP has become MCA 2.0. Okay?
Yeah.
So become MCA 2.0, right? You had a guest a few days ago talking to you about how she left DAP because everything's in Chinese, right? So the MCA 2.0, right? So now Wee Ka Siong, who is the leader of MCA, is trying to be, Wee Ka Siong is acting like an opposition member of parliament.
I heard that's his plan.
Amazing, how nobody talks about how the Chinese are fighting with each other. Please, we keep saying the Indians are fighting with each other. It's not
Aren't
that
we?
Politicians will always be politicians. Ramasamy is a politician. MIPP leader Punithan is a politician. We had Pandithan and we had Datuk Sri Samivelu, politicians. We have a politician who said, I agreed to this, but then, I feel left out right now. 3 years later, I will tell you and tell the nation, we were cheated. Politician. We have another politician who says, I'm coming to power on the platform of reforms and hasn't done anything for 3 years. And then you have another group of people who say that Malaysian, we will stand up for the rakyat and we'll do this. And every time there's a controversial issue right now because they're part of the government,
silence.
Silence. That's what they get.
But you and I cannot be quiet.
You keep telling me the Indians are fighting, the Indians are fighting. This is not special. It's not a special problem with the Indians, okay? The Malays are fighting.
No.
PERIKATAN Nasional leadership, Melayu. Pakatan Harapan leadership, Melayu.
Okay.
Barisan Nasional leadership, Melayu.
Yes.
Semua gaduh dengan each other selalu.
Yes, but I'm talking specifically in the Indian issue now. Our leaders, as you said, politicians are a special breed. We agree. If we look at the new breed of Indian leaders coming up, they are doing the same thing. For example, in the case of Mitra, they are only arguing when is the money coming up.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. July, 31st of July supposed to announce, yesterday.
I think he approved 16 programs.
Okay.
Okay, again, I mean, there are a lot of backstories to this, which I cannot substantiate. But anyway.
You cannot substantiate, you cannot make public claims right now.
No, I cannot make public claims now. That's you're a lawyer, come on, man. But the issue that I have is when people like you stop writing, stop taking part, how can a common sense prevail if people like you keep quiet?
So your assumption is because I stopped writing, I still write for New Straits Times every week.
But not political stuff.
Yeah,
right? I was reading it.
I'm not interested in the political stuff.
You
right?
cannot. You have to.
No, I'm not interested in the
I'm
not interested in the political stuff, or writing the political stuff. I'm interested in actually helping Indians.
Yeah.
At the ground level. And I do my part. If every business owner who is Indian, whether you are Tamil or Telugu or Malayali or Sikh, Punjabi, Sindhi, Gujarati, if you start employing Indian people, that's your first step.
Yes, definitely.
So in my restaurant,
Amen.
Fire by Shankar, we don't employ Indian migrant workers. Right? I employ Malaysian Indians. I employ Malaysian Indians, I pay them a decent wage, pay their EPF and SOCSO, give them a place to stay, but I will also fire them as easily as I employ them. Because I tell all my staff that work with me, you are taking somebody else's place here. I'm giving you an opportunity to be part of my revolution, right? So you're working here. If you don't perform up to my standards, I don't care about what other standards that you come with, but if you don't perform up to my standards, I will fire you. Of course, due process. I don't want you to take me to the labor court and so on, but you're gone, right? Because I will fill that job up with another Indian. So me writing multiple columns to appease people like you, you tell me now, Vinod, you tell me in all honesty, ladies and gentlemen, all of you listening to this, I'm going to look at you all and speak with you. You all tell me, should I be writing columns, banging on about how Indians are doing this and that and this and we're not, we're getting on. Should I put my effort on that or should I put my effort on ensuring that every business that I do, I employ Indians? Then not only that.
You are not taking into consideration that there is a psychological level to this as well. People need to be educated on what politics is. What politics is. That's what you do with your columns.
And that education comes by changing hearts and minds, not by writing columns.
It contributes to that.
Writing columns contributes, but I have just come to the conclusion. I mean, you keep harping on about me stopping to write my column. You want me to start writing again.
Yeah.
Right? I've been made other office, you know what I mean? FMT will let me write again still if I want to write. No, they haven't dropped me off the list. I know Scoop has asked me to write also. Malaysia has asked me to write as well. I don't do it because I think what I need to do is, and this is the messaging that I want to give to all business owners. This is the messaging. Go out there, look at your own businesses, ensure that you hire your community, ensure that you don't mollycoddle them, meaning you don't take an Indian and say, oh, it's okay. If you have a female 17, 18, or a 21-year-old female employee who is of Indian origin, you catch them and you say, stop thinking about getting married now. stop it, right? And start working, start building your resources, start coming up with, and educate them this way. And in that process of education, teaching them how to deal with stuff, that's how you do. So I go on, I do a lot of free programs for students. I've just been appointed as an elite fellow with the University of Malaya now, and I will be spending time at the university giving guest lectures and doing one-on-one discussions. And I will work with Indian students when I'm there. I do a lot of work with, I don't want to say charity work, I orphanages, homes, and every time an Indian school, Tamil school calls me to come and give a talk, I get in there and I talk to them and I say, this is what you need to do. So I rather, in my surrounding, focus on that and build up my reputation in myself for my own credibility.
I am not disputing that you are doing work on the ground. I never did. What I'm saying is that, let me just show you how it works.
Thank you. Show me, please.
Even for me personally, right? Before I read that one article you wrote about Cinda, I had no idea that you could do it that way.
Yeah.
Okay? No matter how many books I've read, every book, everything I read is the next step in the evolution of your mind, right? After reading your article, I thought to myself, I sat down, I did my research, I said, okay, this can be done in Malaysia.
Absolutely.
It's not being done. So that is one of my goals. I met the guy who wrote the book, The Malaysian Indian Dilemma, which changed my life. Okay. If not for that book, I don't think I'd be doing a podcast focusing on these issues.
Okay.
So there is a power with the written word, which you cannot deny.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that why can't you do all of it together?
Okay.
That's all my point is. My point is, because if you don't do it, here's the sad fact. There are many online politicians now who use social media who only perpetuate their way of life, way of thinking. Politics is like this. For example, Mitra, it's all about 100 million, when are you going to raise the money? It's not about, are those programs transformative?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? What is the impact of these programs? What do you all want to achieve?
Where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? Where's the money? That's all.
It's like what JFK said, right? Ask not what you can do, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Indians need to change that mind. We need to now, how do we participate in this country? That's what we need to do. So just that to counter your point. That I'm not saying that you're not doing anything, but I'm saying there is a power to what you do.
So I'm going to give you a politician's answer now. I think, I think...
I've considered what you said and
I'll
look into it.
I've considered what you said. I think it's a fair point that you make that I should consider to write. And I will seriously go back, reflect on what you've told me and talk to my team and,
while I'm preparing the food, I'll just push out some articles.
I actually enjoyed it. I mean, I see issues sometimes, and I go like, I want to write, and then I go, no, it's very interesting. When I stopped writing, a few people got in touch with me. A lot of people actually got in touch with me. Said like, your columns haven't come out. I haven't seen your columns the last month, 2 months. And I said, I'm slowing down. I'm a bit busy. I'm working a lot in the restaurants. I'm not doing this. And then I got a call from Maria Mokhtar. A message from her. She's like, you can't stop writing. No, you have to write. Because I'm in this group with all these people, and she wrote to me and she said, you make a difference. You don't realize you make a difference when you write, which is why she writes. Then I wrote back to, and some other people also, I wrote back to them and I said, there's some people who make a difference from the comfort of being 10,000 kilometers away. I have to focus also on my business. And it is through my business that I have a direct way of changing hearts and minds. This is the reason why I opened Fire by Shankar. I opened Fire by Shankar to focus Malaysian Tamil food. Because Malaysian Tamil food is a separate food grouping altogether. We're not Tamil food per se. We talked about this off-air before we started. Told you a lot of things about what I've learned, right? And I realized that's a source of pride that I can instill with the Indian community. We get full out. My Sunday sapadus get full out. 120 people turn up. 120 people turn up. And one of the things that I notice is the sense of pride that people have, that there is an Indian restaurant, a Tamil restaurant, a Malaysian Tamil restaurant located in Straits Key Marina Mall, which is one of the premier shopping malls it's a lifestyle mall in Penang, where the boats are parked. The yachts are parked. The kind of, super ultra rich people park their boats there. And there's a Malaysian Tamil restaurant with Tamil writing. Shankar is there, Shankar. Now, I asked myself, do I put effort and energy into doing that by helping build pride? and then using my social media. So I use my social media with a lot. Sometimes I have more following than NST has, for example, but I still write for NST. Right, because that just keeps my brain working, so I don't get dementia. Keep on thinking about new things keep me active, right? And FMT has got a very large following as well. But FMT's following, as I say, is preaching to the choir. The energy and effort for me to put into write an 850-word column for FMT it's tremendous, because I can't come across as an idiot when I write. So I kind of think very carefully before I write, and I also can't come across. I no matter what, the print media here, even though it's online print media, is regulated by MCMC, right? So I got to go to the edge and not cross the line with sensitivities in Malaysia. So it's a lot of effort, energy, time that goes in, and then I have to constantly and then I found myself getting angry all the time. Everything irritated me.
Because
we live in a very irritating country with irritating and irritable politicians who don't keep to their word and who just lalang all the time and change their minds. So I found myself every issue, like for example, if I was actively writing right now, I would be writing about Mitra right now and getting upset, just like you had an outburst just now here, right? on air. It is, now you're okay. Now you calm down. I've calmed you down with my soft voice suddenly, right?
Talking about fire.
Like that, and so that's how I used to be. So now I think that one of the ways that through the influence that I have with social media, and I'm very lucky, I'm like an accidental influencer. And I think it's because I speak with passion and I speak quite clearly about the things that I do. And now I've done a few podcasts in Tamil as well. So a lot of people for a long time thought I can't speak Tamil, but then realized that I actually speak Tamil quite well. And the reason why I choose to do it in English is to reach a wider audience, not to only the Tamil community. And that's a daily battle for me. Tamil பேச தெரியாதா உங்களுக்கு? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff comes out all the time. And
I get that too.
People make kind of disparaging comments, and I smile and go like, "Yeah, you don't know what I'm trying to do." Right. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use a different medium this time. I'm actually doing the same thing, just to let you into a little secret, right? I'm doing the same thing as I've done with my writing.
Okay.
Right, which is to elevate the consciousness of the Indian people, our Indian community in Malaysia, and I'm trying to do that this time differently, without agitating, but by telling them, "Hey, look at this. Look at this lifestyle. Look at what you can do. Look at the food." And at the end of the day, the diaspora, the Indian diaspora that is here, our ancestry, why do they come here? To make a living.
To make a living, yeah.
And why do they want to make a living? To eat.
Put food on the table.
At the end of the day, I've gone back to the core.
It's food.
I've gone back to food.
Okay, so let's.
Hang on. Are you happy with that answer or not?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I just...
I'm your guest. I don't want to upset my host.
No, you're not upsetting. But it's just that when you said, I think when we had a short call, or was it a text, I can't remember, and you said that you stopped writing. I kind of assumed maybe, I was thinking maybe you just got, disillusioned with everything, and you say, politics not for me and all that kind of stuff. When I myself have enjoyed your articles and it's impacted me a lot. So I thought, you need somebody to keep elevating the consciousness, as you say.
If I was disinterested in politics, would I have spoken about it today? I would have told you, I would have said, you know what, first maybe I can't come on the show because it's a political show. And secondly, we're going to talk about food, then we'll talk about food. Because there's also brand imaging that I want to look after. I've built a brand. Right, so I will get a lot of. I can tell you right now. Once this goes out, I'll get a lot of pushback from this. Hey, you chef ke politician? Apa benda ni nak cakap pasal politik Malaysia you tak faham? You know what I mean? You masak lah. You get that. So I have to accept that, and say, I'm a Malaysian. So I'm not speaking about politics from a political standpoint. I'm speaking about politics as a Malaysian.
So I want to get your view on the current players in politics now. We've talked a lot about Madani and PMX, right?
Sure.
And people somehow think that I'm a PH supporter, which I'm not. I mean, I'm trying to be balanced here. Failing at it miserably. But what is your view about the opposition in Malaysia now?
Weak. It's a weak opposition. It's an opposition which doesn't seem to be inclusive again. Right, so this is why that earlier question, and you said, PN will come, and you said, I don't know what they stand for. I don't know what they stand for, but now I feel I don't know what PH stands for as well. So that's my fundamental problem, right? So I love listening to alternative views of people who are talking about strange collections. Like, like for example, I'm a great fan of Ram Karpal Singh, right? He's been my friend. But I also know at core, as a politician, he's a really good politician. I want him to leave DAP.
Why?
And start his own party together with a whole bunch of people like you and me, and take a few other good, call Khairi and ask him to come and join us, right? And get a whole range of people who seem to be interested in the country and put them together. Now, wouldn't that be great?
That would be fantastic.
Right?
That'd be
Isn't
fantastic.
that the plan? So when you ask me what's the political landscape, go back to 75-year-old fellas and 76-year-old fellas and keep talking about this. Who is there? Who's there? You look at the component parties of Pakatan Harapan. Everybody is aging and, same call-out ideas and, race politics and all that. We should go lah. We should go call Stephen Sim and tell him, Machan, leave the party. Okay, come we form another party. KJ, can you imagine? Not KJ, Stephen Sim, Sharel, you, right? And then and then like people like me, we don't get involved in politics. We write papers for you all, policy papers, strategic papers, and we put it together.
So we are just the puppets then.
No, you are the Indian component. Now you're there, what? Right? I will do give you stuff. And tell you, don't ask this question. Don't go down that road. Don't go down here. Calm your anger down. You know what I mean?
It was just frustration because I see all these videos and I'm like, oh my God, these guys are leading the people in the wrong way.
Yeah.
They should be thinking bigger.
If you think about it, the idea now is we have to get to, and people say, oh, you're being idealistic. Why? I think it's time to be idealistic, It's enough already. There's no need for us to see for the next 5 years. And we have to stop listening to 75, 80-year-old civil servants who told us, oh, we have to do this way. This is the right way of doing it, wrong way. There's no right way of wrong way. In this country, everything has been wrong for so long. Okay? You can't suddenly say this is the right way now. It's all been messed up for so long. Everything is messed up. Don't you agree? Right? So what we need now
I don't think that bad. I mean, there is still hope.
But see, that's fundamentally the problem. When I say, and this is what people used to get upset with me for my FMT columns, you don't like me, Bala India. You don't like it means go there. Because I'll write columns about how I went to Singapore and I came back. It frustrates me because everything works there.
Yeah.
And nothing works here in KL. Kalau tak suka go to stay in Singapore. Why is it that the moment somebody says something needs to be better, immediately, you're not patriotic.
Yeah.
You're not a Malaysian. I think it's like nonsense. You know what I mean? The most amount of patriotism anybody can show is to stand up and say, don't do that. Your father and mother at home, when they reprimand you for doing something wrong, does that mean they don't love you? They want you to be better, no? And this is what is the problem with this polarizing Malaysia. And because we all fall back finally to the race narrative, what will they tell me? Well, India.
You wrote an article once. The title was, When Will Malaysia Be Colorblind?
Yeah.
What's stopping us from becoming colorblind? And don't say politicians.
What's stopping us from becoming colorblind? Because I think we have been indoctrinated with tacit racism inside us. Indians are racist, Chinese are racist, Malays are racist, and nobody has come out there and said we have to break that mold. That is why, what is the future? The future is when you take good performing leaders, like the people I mentioned, like your Stephen Sims of the world, like your Ram Karpals of the world, like your KJs. I don't know whether he's a good performing, but I think he's got a lot of kudos. Go and get Syed Sadiq and ask him to come because the guy's got good ideas, right? And he appeals to a certain crowd. Go and find Amira, put everybody together and tell them, Korang semua, stop wasting your time with all these old jamokes. All right? We create a nice, go and call Chudan Mukia, go and talk to all these people, say, you want to help? Come, sit here, we form something. And we'll do something. And you have people pockets. But the problem there is you need those people like Stephen Sim and Ram Karpal and KJ to actually break away from the shackles that are actually holding them back. So many DAP politicians have tasted the elixir of power now. So now you go and tell a minister, resign, come. Come.
Of course not.
Of course not. So, idealistic situation is what we need to aim for because that's what we need to do. Can you imagine if that's like the Avengers, you put together? It's like the Malaysian Avengers, you take all these people, you suddenly put together, kapow, you come. The whole country, I'm telling you, the people who are, that 56% that voted for PH will all switch over and come here. Because they'll see the quality and then talk sense. No policy kind of, whip, no political puppet masters along the way. Everyone has a political master, and that's essentially the problem. So when will we become colorblind? That was the question. Because everywhere we are, you only read the articles that were published. There were articles that were not published.
Wow, really?
I got a few articles spiked because I was too across the line. too many times.
But interesting, you talk about KJ as well, right? All these leaders you mentioned, at the end of the day, they are also serving their own personal ambition.
Absolutely.
We know KJ has not been shy about saying he wants to be Prime Minister.
Sure.
That party you talk about, right?
The party that doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist,
Yes,
right? That you want this group of people to join. Yeah, it sounds good on paper, but it will not be able to attract these politicians because they want to
grow
serve
India. Absolutely.
Right?
So then your
what
question,
type of leaders should have?
then your question to me is redundant. Your question about what can the Indian community, why are they fighting? Why is the Indian community fighting? Community leaders. Exactly the same reason why a minister who is in a position of power has got no personal confidence and vision to say, I'm leaving this, I don't want to be shackled by political power, I want to start a third force. Can't do it because they want to serve their own. Why do these guys fight? They're serving their own purpose only.
My solution is for this problem is this: the Indian people. I'm talking about Indians now because you brought it back there.
Sure.
Indian people need to first realize they have to do away with the political system. It does not represent them.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, it does not. And multiculturalism, multicultural policies exist. Can exist, but you need to have equal footing.
Sure.
You cannot have multicultural without equal footing. That's my thing. I think Indian people, especially the middle class, must raise up and come together, not the whole community, but a few people like yourself and all people who are interested and invested in the future community, come together and do programs or tangible big projects. Why I say this is because then you are pushing the envelope and then you are sort of raising the ceiling of expectations,
Absolutely.
which these leaders don't do. That's why they are able to get away. Because what's the alternative? There's no alternative.
And the difficulty with getting a lot of the middle class Indians to come and participate is because the moment you are reaching a certain stage of comfort in your life, you realize that you've got to go beyond your own comfort to make these things work. So you will find a lot of middle class Indians are very much involved in community projects, in spiritual organizations. So, if you look at various spiritual, Shirdi Sai Baba organization, you'll find a lot of middle-class Indians in those organizations.
Yeah.
You go to a lot of temple committees, you'll find the temple leaders and all that will be middle-class people. You go to any of the big temples in Kuala Lumpur and Shalam, you'll find the managing director of this company is actually the Koil Talavar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they tend to put their energy and effort into something which is a bit more rewarding. They feel that that's serving a higher cause instead of serving this, because I have to come and fight with these fellas. I have to get down to the battleground, get my hands dirty. I'm 50 years old already. I drive a BMW. I drive a Mercedes. I've got some money in the bank. I've got 2 businesses. Revenue is coming through. Kids are all grown up. Now, I might as well just focus on God and focus on those kinds of community things. Then this. So what you actually need is you need young, idealistic people.
Yeah.
Right?
You do.
So what we need is young people who have got not much to lose. So this idea that you only get middle-class Indians must give, it's, again, ideal. And I submit to you that you won't get them. The reason is why? Why would a cardiothoracic surgeon from Pantai Medical Center, who has got a lot of ability, and has got a lot of thoughts about stuff, and you know who I'm talking about, why would he want to give up what he's doing and come and join you and do a project? Right? You think about it, no? Because it's too much to lose. Whereas a young medical student at University of Malaya, with the right impetus, with the right push, will say, I want to do it. So, like, for example, the mobilization of the Indian youth, the largest mobilization of the Indian youth was Sri Murugan Center. Right? And this is when I was running my initial stages, 95, 96, when I was running my private institutions of higher learning. I was just astounded by the numbers. They would call me to give speeches also in the SMC thing. So Professor Thambiraja, L. Krishnan, S.K. Devamani, these people went out and they completely focused on education with young people, Tamil schools, so on and so forth, running tuition classes. And all these people have done really well. Many of them have done tremendously well. So the focus was only on education. Everything went downhill when they decided to go and join MIC. Yeah, Prof. Thambiraja went, please, I'm sure I'll get a lot of brickbats. I'm sure he did a lot of great things, but they did a tremendous amount of work. And then Prof. Thambiraja became deputy leader of MIC in Vilaya Persekutuan. S.K. Devamani became a minister. L. Krishnan tried a few times and lost to Ramsamy 3-4 times in Prai. All right, and they felt that political power is the only way to make the change. They felt, right, but they couldn't break through into, because they realized they couldn't form another party, but they had to go and join MIC. And as soon as they joined that particular party, the powers, the existing warlords within MIC doused them down. So they couldn't go any further. I think that if Sri Murugan Centre remained, for example, as an education-based institution and grew, it would have eventually emerged as a third force, political force for the Indian community. And so I'm tying this back to the idea of you thinking that middle-class Indians in Malaysia are going to save the day for Indians. We are not.
Then who is?
Young, idealistic Indians. That we, the middle-class Indians, can go and instigate. That's what we can do. But for that, we need to live a particular life and be prepared to do some service.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So if we're willing to do some service by turning up, by talking sense, not talking nonsense. By you stand up and you go to a young person who is 18, 19 years old, 20 years old, and tell them, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't smoke, Fellow goes like, I like to drink. I like to smoke. What the hell's wrong with you? Why are you telling me not to do this? Immediately when you say like that, and this is how all the middle income people will go, we all have done everything.
Yes.
We've all done everything, experienced everything, got walloped a few times here, there, everywhere, and we make changes in our life. Nobody changes because somebody else told them to change.
Because they want to change it.
Change comes from within, always. Right? So it's always within. You go like, no, I can't live like this. I mustn't do this. And the people around you are just influences who help you make that choice. So many older people will turn up and talk to young kids and say, you must study. Okay? I'll use the Tamil phrase, ஒழுங்கா படிக்கணும், ஒழுங்கா படிங்க, ஆர்வமா படிக்கணும். People will just say that, And the kid listening going like, என்னடா மச்சான் எனக்கு தெரியாதா? Are you telling me some profound truth right now that I have to study? Right? That's exactly what the Form 5 student will say. It's not
I know.
Yeah, you're like, brother, uncle, tata, I know already. Why you keep telling me the same thing?
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We don't go there and use management concepts and ideas of drawing imagery. We don't understand psychology. People don't learn these things. We go up to them and say, hey, the best people to do this is insurance salespeople. You will find insurance salespeople, no matter what it is, selling insurance. Okay, but they will come with a suit. Right? And he will drive a BMW. He'll walk out and he'll say, I'll be your financial planner. Half the battle is already won because you saw him driving with a BMW.
Yeah.
And you go like, actually, it's quite safe to give this guy the money. If he can drive a BMW, maybe he'll help me drive a BMW also. All right? So automatically he goes.
Most of the times the car is not theirs.
But that's the psychological effect of it, right?
Yeah.
So they'll come wearing cufflinks, always tied up, suited up, beautifully pressed and they'll have the right language. Because that's what the insurance companies train you to do. Right? So if we go into schools and educational institutions and we talk to people, we shouldn't go there and lecture them and talk down to them and say, you've got to be like, you've got to be like, you've got to be. Go there and say, this is how I am. So I've got through a whole bunch of difficulties in my life. I've run businesses. I've had ups and downs. I've had issues and problems. I drink so much sometimes and this happens. So you understand how it is. But what I do is I try to reconnect to my purpose and I keep pushing forward. So now we have to find you some purpose. Would you like to be part of this or not? And you'll find, if you use language like that, many young people will say, okay, what?
No, on just this one note, because you mentioned about Prof. Ramasamy earlier, and you talked about communicating people the right way to get them to come to your side. Urumai and MIPP, as I mentioned earlier, they are fighting now. So they are saying that each other can't draw the Indian votes, despite a lot of Indians being disillusioned with PMX.
Yeah.
You seem to be one of them. So
I'm not. I have to correct you there. I'm not disillusioned with any politician. I have now come to a sense of acceptance that this is the
constant disillusionment.
This is the crop that we have.
Okay. But where do you think Indians will go in terms of casting their vote come the next GE?
Very hard to say. Every year, in that, 15, 16 constituencies that we are supposedly the kingmakers. 17, I think, constituencies. Yeah. Prof. Rama will always give me the figures. He'll say, this 17, we have to make sure. I'm like, 17 only what? If we make difference there, then the other 220, whatever, 201, 203 bypass, we vote emotionally. If just before the election, we build a crematorium, the vote will go there. Just before the election, somebody builds a road towards the temple, the vote will go there. Just before the election, that state problem that has been there for the last 50 years will be solved magically. And that vote will go there. Okay, now our DAP ministers all are experts at doing that. But suddenly turn up, ngang coming, will say like, ini masalah ini, jangan takut, jangan khawatir, saya ada. You know what I mean? And then the thing will be solved.
Housing is suddenly 25 years.
Yeah. So we are at. I don't know if we have. I can use this word or not, but in a sense, it feels like we are a unreliable bunch of people ourselves. Do you know what I mean?
You are definitely going to get pushback for that.
I'm going to get pushback for that. I know I'm going to get pushback. No, because we change our mind. Now, I have a very interesting question which I ask myself all the time. So I speak idealistically like this. But if I became a minister, could I trust myself not to be tempted to do untoward things? So I keep asking myself this question. So now, of course, it's a redundant question because I'm never going to be a minister, right?
Hey,
so
never
now,
say never.
now I can answer, of course, I've got principle, integrity, moral, great upbringing, not like that. I'm here for the community. But at the time, once I get that office and 5 PAs and secretaries who walk around and who lay the newspaper out for me every day when I come to work. Oh, that's what ministers get. The newspapers get laid out, coffee ready, driver, and when the driver will already let them know the Mantri is downstairs already coming up, so everything will be set. Come inside, a file will be given. You read the newspapers first, drink your coffee, go to your own toilet, your own private toilet you have inside your office, and then you go from one meeting to another, and you sit around and you look very impressed and very interested, but you have no idea, you haven't read the papers yet. Yeah. Right? And then you just want to balik at 5 o'clock because you got so many things to do now. Other things to do, your own life, go there and attend various events and functions. And I think to myself, won't I enjoy that life and just be happy and forget about my people or my ministry or my... As long as I do just cukup makan, cari makan, enough work. As long as I don't get caught doing anything stupid. So I keep asking myself, will I? And I really honestly, cannot answer truthfully to myself that I might not be like that.
But isn't that a case of you focusing on the wrong examples? Because we now tend to focus on, even the Indian community, we focus on leadership that is failed. Not failed, but people who are not doing much. We focus on examples that
we have no role models. That's the thing. That's the story.
So
right?
in terms of the description of our community, we focus on stories that showcase us in a negative light.
Hang on. The reason why we do all of that is because we carry ministers up in a pedestal, right? So my wife is Austrian, right? So, and we go back to Austria regularly. And I was once in Vienna. We went to do something in Vienna to visit a holiday, and suddenly my wife knocked me and said, in the tram, "Wait, that's our chancellor." Okay, and I said, "Chancellor is the prime minister of the country, riding the Straßenbahn." The Straßenbahn is the tram. I would like to see, maybe, of course,
I think it's possible.
Of course, there would have been. Only Anthony Lok does that, okay? Nobody else does it. And he does it, the optics are fantastic for him. Simply go and take the LRT, constantly stand in the LRT, take photograph here, there, everywhere. Yeah. Right, so now this is just, I'm sitting there reading the newspaper, right? And of course, he had some minders around because the security and all that, but they're not crowding around and, blockading. And people were not walking up to him taking selfies. They just left him alone there. He was sitting reading. Some people he acknowledged, and they continued reading the newspaper. When his stop came, he got out, and I was like, oh.
Why is egalitarianism so a sign of high moral?
Because what we have here is, in Malaysia, we score very highly in the Hofstede index, right, which is the power distance relationship.
Yeah.
Our problem is when we see people in power, we don't know how to behave already. If today, telling you are 6'9", okay? I am 5'7", so you are 1 feet and 2 inches taller than me.
Yeah.
So which way I have to look up at you like that? This is very deceptive. When we are in this this level here, you are like what giant, okay? So now I can tell you, if last week in the governor's honors in Penang, if I had got a DSPN and became a Datuk, I can tell you that your stature would have come down slightly when you greeted me. Datuk. It's like in our DNA here.
That's our culture.
It's our culture, it's our DNA, it's there. Melayu, China, India, we all... No. There's a bit of that. Right, so our issue about these bad role models is we still throw back to you know what you see in Tamil movies? When the CM comes, the roads will be blocked, the security will be there. The same thing here.
No, yeah.
Not as severe as in India, but we have the same thing
No,
here.
fair enough. But
So our role models are very much perceived by that kind of complex relationship we have with power. So the moment you get into power, you are placed on a different level.
But you're not bringing into the question of the whole definitions that we give power based on the examples that we extol. For example, like the what you just said just now, in for us, like I was talking about how, there's a saying, if you don't pick your heroes, it'll be chosen for you.
Sure.
Right? So when you brought the question of whether when you're a minister, can you abstain from these kind of behaviors, right? That's because in the news today, those examples are put on a pedestal.
Listen, we also know there have been great ministers.
Yeah, like Dato' On.
Yeah, great ministers and good Indian ministers.
Not Taman, sorry.
Tun Samadan,
Tun Dr. Ismail.
Tun Dr. Ismail, yes.
So
TDI,
if we extol them, then we are increasing the whole morality because the reality changes.
I think we have only two choices. Either we go down the road of Singapore and we have really good technocrats who come in to run the country and pay them really well. MPs in Singapore get paid a lot of money. Our MPs get paid 15,000, 16,000 ringgit a month.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will, 16,000 ringgit. That's because of the income disparity. But, you're expecting these people to lead us and to run. Singapore MPs are earning, and the Prime Minister is earning huge amounts of money, 1.2, 1.4 million Singapore dollars. Right? I think the highest paid leader in the world. As Singapore Prime Minister. Right, so members of Parliament in Singapore, I don't have the facts, but they're earning a lot of money. So, and they also go through a serious vetting process. You keep talking about leaders here. What is our vetting process to become an MP here?
Nothing.
You just go, and how do you serve them? We end up having these kind of esoteric conversations about idealism. But let's look at one particular party that I know quite well. I think you all know which one I'm talking about, right? Because
DAP.
Yeah, of course. And I know because I've done some work.
Because you love DAP.
Because I've been a supporter of the party, and I'm freely, it was a rebellious nature in me that wanted to support them. But that only happened after a certain year. Before that I was 100% BN. So I lived in Penang, right? So I voted. There was no MIC person to vote for on the island. So for me, it's always voting MCA, right? So in my constituency, Sri Delima, before that, whatever the Jelutong was, it was always voting for. For a long time I didn't vote for Karpal Singh in Jelutong because DAP. Only as I got older, I thought I have to do something about this nation. Somebody needs to fight back, right? So now, at the time when you had the stalwarts leading DAP, you had Karpal Singh, you had Lim Kit Siang, you had V. David, P. Pato, Ahmad Noor, I think, all these people. They were just really interested in working. And they had no perks, And they got beaten up all the time. Meaning mentally beaten up all the time, right? Like you go in, the fellows will, bang you and all that. Stand election after multiple times. Everybody talks about Karpal Singh, Lim Kit Siang, how many times they lost, They've lost so many times. And then he came back, he became the CM killer by beating Lim Chong Yu first. And then, of course, everybody like that, okay? So you had to do all of this. He beat, and you look at this party, they didn't have a lot of people, and they were struggling to find people to fill jobs, to do things. In 2008, when they became the government of Penang, state government of Penang, they had a real dearth. They had a problem. They were like, who's going to do what? Because not enough people. Suddenly they had the majority, right? So they had to come up with a kind of a plan of growth and second liners and third liners and fourth liners. So now this has become the route to career upward mobility. So you work as a community organizer first, and all you're interested in is you want to get a job as a councillor in your particular kawasan. So you have X number of councillors, 30, 40 MP, Majlis Perbendaharaan, MBPP, councillors. So you really have to do things there and make sure that you become a councillor. And you need to become a councillor when your local kadun, kawasan adun, the adun and the wakil rakyat must recommend you. So how do you get into their good books? By really being around them all the time, carry their bag, drive their car. I'll pick you up, YB. I'll do this for you, YB. I'll do that for you, YB. I'll do this for you, YB, right? So you have to be the runner for the YB. So now the YB and you have developed a great personal relationship and they like you, trust you and so on. You're not interested in serving the people. All you're interested in is becoming a councillor, correct? Because you get a councillor, you get an allowance, you get a stipend, all that, right? So now, after, sometimes, then you have the political machinations within the Penang state itself. So when a name goes, I want to reject you. So I know one guy who was nominated 3 times. Finally, he became a councillor. And I also know why he wants to be a councillor, because now nothing to do with serving the people. Just now, I'm a councillor, right? No qualifications, no education, no great kind of visionary statements about, changing the Indian community or doing anything, right? I'm a councillor. So now he becomes a councillor. After he becomes a councillor, his next step is got to work really hard with both the MP and the Adun, so that and the Adun will work very, very hard with the MP because the Adun wants to take the MP seat. So now this. So essentially, it's just a pipeline to become an MP, then to become a junior minister, then become a Melan minister, to become a minister. So this is the pipeline, and this is what career politicians do.
So it's a system.
It's a system that's wrong. It's a system that promotes it, right? So we don't need career politicians. I want you, if you want to be a politician, Vinod, I'll tell you don't. But if I have to force you to become a politician, I'll say do it. Because the very fact that you actually don't want to do it will make you a good person. Because you'll do it well. Because when you take it on, you'll do it well. You force me to write my column again, I'll write shit stuff, right? But if I get motivated enough to say, after I listen to Vinod, I really have to go back and write, because I think I'm making a difference. Then, like when people come to my restaurant, come to work, right? They'll say, I want to learn under you. I want, can you teach me how to cook? And I always tell people, I cannot teach you anything. What I will do is, I'll show you how I do it. You have to decide whether you can capture and learn or not. You cook, I'll cook, watch. And then you can ask me a question, why I did that? I'll tell you. Right? And I'll say, taste. Taste again. See, after 2 minutes, it's like this. After another 10 minutes, taste, profile, change or not change. And then finally, I add this. Why do you add that? Now you taste after edit. Oh, wow, it's different. Oh, this is exactly how the taste, I'm getting my mother's taste. I said, see how we got there? Okay, good. And then next time I do it, I'll say, hey, come. Can you do it or not? No, not yet. I have to see it again one more time. So, people who come and work with me in the kitchen, I never run a training program for them. I don't teach you how to do anything. All I say is, welcome. You got, you're interested, and I saw your thing. Your CV is good. Your resume looks impressive. But now, I'm going to see whether you can learn. I'm a great learner as long as you teach me. I said, sorry, no teaching. I showing only. Okay? I'm not good teacher. Show only. Show only. I say, you have to learn. I'm a self-taught cook. I never went and studied anything. Completely. I'm a self-taught author. I've written a book. Nobody taught me how to write a book. I've been writing 10 years now. 2016 will be my 10th year writing for NST every Friday without fail. Nobody taught me how to write. All right. I had 10 years on BFM from 2009 to 2019, and then 2 years in Light FM. Nobody taught me how to modulate my voice. Everything is self-taught now.
Just one last one on this.
Sure, we got a lot more time. No.
If the system is corrupt, I
didn't say the system is corrupt.
Of course, that's what you tell me.
I said there's a systemic problem.
Which means there's a corruption within the system.
Don't put words into my mouth.
That means there's a corruption. It's English. Corruption with the system. Okay. If there are systemic problems, is the answer then more independent candidates in election?
Yes. In a word, yes.
Will you be running as independent?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
I didn't say no. I said no, not yet.
Okay.
I might at some point run as a candidate. Yeah. I'm happy to throw my hat in the ring when I feel that I will actually make a difference. And I also want to run and when I reach a stage where I don't need any more money anymore. I'd like to run when I am settled with my financial difficulties. I have a lot of as a business owner, I have a lot of financial difficulties, a lot of outgoings all the time. I owe a lot of people money, right? On any given moment in time, I owe people money because of the nature of my business, right? So what I'd like to do is I would like to settle all of that, be available, and then make a decision at that point. Our problem is a lot of people come in to earn money. And if you come in and you say, money is great, but yeah, okay, it's nice little savings for me. Right? When I retire and I don't do anything else, I have that MP money that also they got. Now, 400,000 come in, 500, a million has come in. Where do I give? How? What kind of stuff I need to do? Real. I don't care about who, what, nothing, because I'm an independent candidate, and I don't need any. I don't have any political masters here. The only thing I'm concerned about is my community, and I'll go into that community and say, "What do you need?" Right? And no. And what you need is not ask one person. I'll say, okay, I like you, you're a nice man, but I want to see the other side also. I want to. First thing I will do at every local meeting is like, who is your enemy? People will happily tell you who the enemy is. Oh, that fellow doesn't like me. I want to meet them also. Oh, good. Why be going to scold them? I say, no. I want to know why you don't like him. Tell me. And then now I get your perspective. I get your perspective. I independently, without my state secretary or my Adun or my YB telling me no, go there, because that one is our CM's good friend. I don't care if CM's good friend or not. That fellow is an idiot asking for nonsense. We shouldn't be giving them. These people are actually quite good. We have to do that for them. Now, if we do that, that all only happens if we have independent candidates.
That's true. Yeah, that's why I hope for more independent candidates especially in Malaya. Sabah have a lot, but we, for some reason, just never gravitate to independent candidates. So, Shankar, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Pleasure. I hope it was okay.
It was fun. I mean, we've been talking close to 2 hours now. So, well.
You have to edit down, take off all the bad parts away. Okay? I do not want my business to suffer because I had a fun time with you, just openly speaking.
Expect a letter from the DAP. Please come. And I think DAP now will have more issues with this podcast, because just recently, I think you saw that clip, right? That girl. So people from DAP started calling me now with your comments on DAP. My goodness.
I want to put a little caveat. I have no bad feeling or intention with DAP. I think it's a very good party. And I think, you never asked me this question, but it's something I thought you might ask me. In the next election, how will DAP do? Will do extremely well. Still get its 40 seats.
Yeah, of course.
They'll get standard. DAP is like, it's like GPS now. They got a certain bank.
Yeah.
So Pakatan Harapan, they have a safe deposit with DAP also.
Yeah.
DAP seats will go back to DAP. And I was very flattering of DAP MPs. I said they get down on the floor, the ground and work.
You said 2 of them.
I mean, I didn't want to name all 40. I don't know all 40. The 2 I know because I see them there. Yeah. But yeah, so now I'm not backtracking about DAP. I think it's lost its way.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think everyone agrees and everyone knows. But like a lot of DAP ardent, strong, older DAP supporters will say, what to do?
No, I think DAP have also let down the Indians. I think considering the number of votes that went there, they should have done more for the Indians. And I think it was Ram Karpal, I think, who announced the reopening of the Indian Bureau. I was like, oh, what a non-move.
Yeah, and he did. No, he's the chairman of that now. Chairman of that.
What a meaningless move this is.
So like very, very simple things. Like I tell you what, my last article was, my last column for FMT, I remember very clearly, was immediately after Ram Karpal won the highest number of votes in Penang. So technically, Ram Karpal should be the chairman of DAP Penang.
But he was voted by the delegates, not by the people.
No, this is, that's how it is. The delegates always vote. So, this is the Penang state.
Oh, the party hierarchy.
Ram won. Won. Number 2 was Stephen Sim, then it went down. And the state secretary, Lim Guan Eng's sister, Hui Ying, got number 12 and all that. And our friend Ryer just got kicked out. You know what I mean? Just a little bit down. And so that all happened. And that was the last column I wrote, because I said, how can we talk about meritocracy? How can DAP talk about meritocracy when you don't make Ram Karpal the state chairman, but you make Stephen Sim the state chairman and make Ram Karpal the deputy chairman when he won the highest number of votes? Exactly. And then I said, I'm not going to write anymore. I'm done. I'm really, when DAP did that, I said, I don't want to write anymore. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm really tired of the people that I've championed and write and push forward. They do the same thing. And then they have ways and means of justifying why they said it. Of course, I understand. It won't happen in Penang. Penang, Chinese people, it's a Chinese majority, so we have to have a Chinese leader, blah, blah, blah. If you cannot have a non-Chinese chief minister in Penang,
what are you talking about?
You have no right to say anything about anything in Malaysia.
Yeah. Let's end this on a positive. If we can.
Come to my restaurant. Come and eat.
Fire by Shankar. I definitely will come. Definitely. But Is there anything in Malaysian politics now that you see that fuels some hope in you?
No, I like that Rafizi Ramli resigned. I really like it.
You like that?
Oh, I really like it. I like it because a lot of people say, oh, you can't stand the heat, it's always sulking and going off and doing this and doing that. Hey, you lost the election. How you lost the election, what kind of internal party machinations and all the corruption that went through and all that, I don't care. You lost, right? What an example. You lose that week, you resign. You think any other politician will do that? Lose and then hold on to power for another 6 years, become a senator, and then come back through the back door, come back through the side door. You know what I mean? Any other politician would say, come back to the side door, back door. Right? When KJ knew already is out, I'm coming out, close kejap. I come out. I come out, do something else. I love politicians who leave and who say, you know what, you don't want me, I go.
But do you agree that a lot of, even Nick Nazmi said he left because he was no longer, he lost the party elections, right?
That's it.
But should the party elections trump the people's mandate?
They were voted in as members of parliament.
Yeah.
They both are still in parliament, being members of parliament. What mandate have they betrayed? Were they voted in as ministers by people?
No, they weren't. But then when you are a minister, you are dealing with the interests of the people.
No, when you are a member of this is where the problem is. We have this kind of messed up system in this country where the judiciary, the executive, and the legislature need to be separated. Members of parliament are part of the legislature. They make laws. Cabinet ministers are the executive. They execute the laws made by parliament. Rafizi and Nick Nazmi are still in parliament. I think that's what we voted them in for.
Yes, but then you can't just leave a job halfway when it's, especially Rafizi's case, he's a minister of economy. When we are in a very choppy time in global economics, he has to be.
You see, this is the whole thing. It's collective government. So any minister, for example, can have a serious health issue and have a heart attack or something and die.
Yeah.
Right, tomorrow. That portfolio is not dead with that minister. Right? That's what collective government is. That's why decisions are made in cabinet. So if Rafizi, and I think the optics of him leaving for people like me about mature politics, I find that quite interesting. People is like, a lot of people I hear, he's always like that sulking and going off and he does this, he does that. I think listening to him, I think he'll make a great agitator from the outside.
You think he's leaving PKR?
I don't know whether it's that. I'm not party to his thoughts. I don't know. I know as much as you know. He sends mixed signals about everything, which I think is also a great thing to do. You know what I mean? Don't
confuse the people.
Do whatever you want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it's the voters in Pandan that have to decide in the next election whether you want him or not. You don't want him, get somebody else.
Okay. Thank you so much, Shankar, again for coming on. I really had fun. I would love to have you on again on different topics we could discuss.
Yes, I'm not talking about politics anymore.
Yeah. So, guys, that was Shankar Santhiram on this podcast. Finally, I get him here. It's truly been a pleasure, fun talking. As always, I noticed Friday conversations always go this route. They're always unpredictable and just more casual than anything. So, please, we'll be sharing the links to Fire by Shankar in the description. If you guys are in Penang, please drop by. I'll definitely be going to the place. I want to try out the food. I love Indian food, nothing better. And thank you again so much for coming.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Peace
Thank
and
you for
regards to your father.
Will do.
And again, please check out the interview as well. Fantastic interview. I mean, not me, him. He was really good. Well researched. So, guys, as always, please like, share, subscribe. We have many great interviews coming up. Next up, we have YB Hassan Karim from PKR, who's coming on the podcast as well. We have a bunch of new books and authors who are coming on to discuss a host of a wide range of topics. So, have a great weekend. We'll see you soon. Bye.